Hello my friends and welcome to my Summerween reading vlog. So if you didn't know, Summerween is a summer spooky readathon. It was created by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. I think this is my second year participating in Summerween, so I'm really excited. It is day one. I have started. I'm about to finish my first book actually. I started it last night. The first prompt I decided to start with was read a book in the dark, and for that I chose Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus. This is not out yet. I actually have an arc of it. This is coming out August 8th, but I was so excited to have this arc, and honestly I thought it was perfect for the reading in the dark prompt because I was like, a book about a diver getting swallowed by a sperm whale trying to get out and survive. That already sounds anxiety inducing, and add like being in the dark at night to the equation. I feel like this is the perfect book, so that's why I chose it. And I have to admit, this book is actually really freaky. If you are like me and you are terrified of the ocean, I feel like this book is just going to amplify all your fears, because that's what it's doing to me. It is very intense because I already don't like the ocean. I don't like not knowing what's down there. I also don't like the idea of accidentally running into something that could eat me or hurt me. I don't know, it just sounds really scary. You don't know what's down there. It's really dark. It scares me. So I was like, this book is probably going to freak me out, and oh my god, yeah, it's a very anxiety inducing. I definitely feel claustrophobic while I'm reading it, which was what I was anticipating, because I just wanted something to make me feel like super on edge and like tense and like get my heart racing, and honestly this was the perfect book for it. I can't really give you too much about the plot because I feel like that would ruin the book. It's pretty simple. It's a diver. There's a specific reason for this diver going down into the water. They accidentally get swallowed by a sperm whale. They only have an hour left on their oxygen tank to get out, so you're basically just down there with them, you know, going through the motions, trying to figure out how they're going to survive. This also deals with like father-son bonds, like family relationships, so there is like a different aspect and a different level to this story as well. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm really liking it. It's going really fast because the chapters are really short. I mean, I think the longest chapter I've encountered is like maybe 3 or 4 pages. I mean, some of them even look like this, so very short. I'm on page 200, so I'm almost done with the book. After I finish this one, I'm obviously going to have to move on to my second book, which I don't know which one I want to move on to, but I will save that dilemma for after I finish this one up. Hopefully finish it here in the next couple of hours once it gets a little bit more dark. I know I've already read in the dark, but I want to read the end of this one in the dark, so I'm hoping I'll finish this up tonight. And then tomorrow I can update you on like my overall rating and just like some more thoughts that I have, and then we will decide which book I'm going to move on to next. But so far the first day of Summerween has been very successful and I'm very much enjoying my read, so I will check in when I finish. Hello friends, and happy Summerween day 2. So as for an update, I finished Whale Fall last night. I finished it around 2 in the morning, I think. So I did finish this at night and I was reading in the dark. It was very atmospheric. I really liked this book, and I feel like I haven't felt this way while reading a book in so long. I felt like I was so like anxious and nervous, and I was invested and I couldn't put it down, and it was just like such an intense read. And I said in my TBR that I was hoping this book was going to be like anxiety inducing and make me feel claustrophobic, and that's why I picked it for the reading in the dark prompt. I just felt like reading it in the dark was going to amplify all those feelings, so I was really hopeful about this one. And I have to say, my hopes were not crushed. I flew through this book. The chapters are extremely short. Some pages don't even have full text on them. There's just like a small paragraph or even one line of text. Like some of them are just so quick, but it just like adds to the buildup and adds to the tension. There's so much going on in this story and like I could not look away. I was so invested. I do feel like that my fear of the ocean and like my fear of like what lurks under the water definitely was an added bonus to this book. Like I feel like if I didn't have a deep fear of water or like the things living in the ocean or whatever, like if I didn't have those fears, I definitely feel like I wouldn't have maybe reacted as strongly to this book. But I definitely feel like if you are someone like me who doesn't like the ocean or like the idea of swimming or diving in the ocean is kind of scary to you, I think you'll definitely find this book anxiety inducing, and I don't know, it was actually really enjoyable. There's definitely another layer to this story. It has its emotional aspect to it. It has, you know, like I said, a father-son kind of dynamic going on in there. And there's just like a little bit more to it. Like, yes, it is about this diver being inside of a sperm whale trying to get out, but there's just a little bit more to the story, which I just think the emotional aspect added to the story, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I think if I had one criticism, and I don't even know if it's a criticism, it's just a me thing, and I'm trying to decide how I want to overlook it. It's not a big deal. You know how I feel about science fiction, and I want to be clear, the science fiction isn't super complicated. It's just mostly about like whales, the ocean, diving, biology. It's nothing overly complicated. I just think that like I didn't know everything, and so sometimes I got maybe a little, I don't know if confused is the right word, maybe just a little like, wait, what? So I did kind of reread a few sentences at times because I was trying to make sure I understood what was being said. I just didn't want to be super confused, and I wasn't super confused. That's the thing, I wasn't. I just think it was a little sciencey sometimes where I was like, I don't know what's going on. But I will say I did learn quite a bit, actually. I actually did learn quite a bit about whales and a lot of other things. I thought that was fun, so I don't want it to be a criticism, and I don't think it hindered my enjoyment. And honestly, for the way this book made me feel, because like I'm saying, I haven't felt this way in a long time. I mean, heart palpitating, skin clammy, breathing hard. I haven't had that feeling while reading a book, even a horror book, in a very long time. So I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I think I have to. I think I have to give it 5 stars. I think for the experience alone, I have to give it 5 stars. I don't want to hesitate. I don't want to think too deeply about it. This was fun. It was engaging. It was exciting. I had really strong feelings after I finished, so for that, I'm gonna give it a 5 star. And I'm so freaking excited that my first read for Summerween was a 5 stars. I am just so excited. If we're going in order of the prompts as they are, it is read a thriller, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna pick up The Swell by Ali Reynolds. I'm very excited for this one because I really loved Shiver, so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this one will be fun. It has to deal with surfing, so we're gonna keep the theme of like, you know, water, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna dive. Funny, get it? Because whale fall. Anyways, so I'm gonna get into this one and I will report back. Other than that, my day is going to be reading, watching One Tree Hill because we're rewatching it, and I'm trying to prevent myself from buying Halloween decor because places are putting it out online and I really want to buy Halloween decor. So I am trying to have some self-restraint, which I'm not very good at. That is what the agenda is, and I will see you at our next check-in. Happy day 3 of Summerween. I'm here with an update. Kind of a late update because I think I'm like 75% into the book. I'm on page 273 of the Swell, and I have very mixed emotions about this book. Shiver by Ali Reynolds was one of my favorite thrillers that I read the year that I read it, and it's still one of my favorite isolated snowy thrillers of all time. So I knew I wasn't going to like this one as much because I'm not a big fan of summer settings in thrillers. I don't know. They just don't really get me. So the plot is about our main character, Kenna. She is going to Australia to visit her best friend Mickey, who is getting married to this man named Jack. Kenna's never met Jack. She doesn't really know anything about him, and she feels like Mickey is really like rushing this wedding. So she's kind of suspicious. She thinks that Jack's like maybe not such a nice guy. So she goes to Australia to visit Mickey and kind of see if she needs to rescue her. And when she gets there, Mickey and Jack tell her that they're going kind of like on this trip. They're going surfing to this beach. And they invite Kenna along, and of course Kenna says yes because she wants to try and convince Mickey not to go through with this wedding. So they invite Kenna to go with them. There are 4 other people at this beach, so including Mickey, Kenna, and Jack, there's 7 people total. And when Kenna arrives and she gets to know the group a little bit, she sees that their dynamic is very interesting. It's very weird. There's some things going on, and she gets roped into some interesting things. I think my biggest issue is I just don't really care. I don't really feel like this is very tense or thrilling. I don't feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. I don't feel like anything is really high stakes. I kind of see where the book's going. I kind of understand the undertone. I got it pretty early on, so I don't feel like anything is super twisty right now. We've had a few like little itty bitty twists that I thought were pretty good. We just had one that I didn't suspect, but I don't feel like it's interesting enough that it's making me want to keep reading. I don't know. I'm just kind of like not bored, but I'm just kind of not very interested in this story. And again, I don't know if it's the setting. I don't know if it's just the plot. I don't know if it's the two mixed together. I have no idea. But as of right now, Shiver is superior in my opinion, like way superior. And I'm just not enjoying this one as much, especially coming from Whalefall, which I just read before this one, and I'm giving it 5 stars. This just feels a little lackluster to me. So I'm really trying to finish this. I want to get it done right now because I want to start something else. I want to get away from this. I don't want to read it. I want to read something else. So hopefully I can put this down here in a little bit and start reading something else because I am just not very into that right now. But I'm doing Patreon sprints right now, so I think I'm about to be done though. So hopefully I'll get a little bit more read and then I can finish this up. But yeah, that's all I've been doing today is sprinting and trying to finish this book, and we're rewatching One Tree Hill right now. So I've kind of been dividing my time between One Tree Hill and reading. Hopefully I can finish this up in the next hour and then move on to something else. I don't know which book I will be moving on to, but I will let you all know when I finish this, and then I will tell you what I'm starting next. So I will update you all in a little bit. Finally, I am done with the Swell, and I have to be honest, this was a rough thriller for me. I feel like it took me a really long time to get through it. I feel like it wasn't as tense or as interesting or engaging as Shiver was by this author, and I just like was not invested in this. I feel like it was extremely obvious what the twist was, like the big major twist. I feel like it was pretty obvious, so I'm not quite sure if I was supposed to be surprised or if that was like part of the book. On the back here, one of the blurbs says, "The Swell is like an unhinged adult surfer Lord of the Flies," and honestly, yes, it reminds me a lot of Lord of the Flies, which I think people would be interested in. Just for me, I know I'm not that excited by summer thrillers, but this one was just like really not that exciting, and I just really didn't care about anything. and I just felt like it was really obvious, and like I said, it just wasn't exciting or intriguing, or I don't know. It just didn't hold my attention. I feel like this one is going to be a 3, maybe a 3.5 if I'm feeling generous. I just don't think it's her best. I still think Shiver is way better. I prefer Shiver. I would recommend Shiver over this one. So, I don't know. It was just a little average for me. But that is the thriller prompt now completed. So the next prompt is read a book that takes place during fall. And I'm going with the Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. This is like a coming of age story. This author is the same author who wrote The Deep and The Troop. That's Nick Cutter. So I'm very interested how that's going to play out, because I was not a big fan of The Troop. I thought it was really boring. So I don't know how this is going to go, because coming of age stories are very hit or miss. I either really love them or I feel very average about them. So I'm really not sure how this one's gonna go. It's only like a little over 200 pages. I think it's like 206. So it should be very short and quick, unless I'm bored out of my mind, then it might take me a little bit longer. But on the back it just says, an irresistible coming of age story about a group of misfit kids who spend an unforgettable summer investigating local ghost stories and urban legends. So it sounds like it could be good. I know a lot of people talk about this one. I know it's not like super horror. I think it's more like light on the horror. So we'll see how I feel about it. I do really like the cover. I think it's really cute. So I mean, we're gonna see. I'll let you know what I'm thinking when I start reading, and you know, have a opinion about it. So I will update you then. Hello friends, happy Summerween day 4. I'm here for an update. So last night I started the Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson, and I'm actually almost done. I have like 20 pages left of this book. It actually read really quick. I will say this is not what I expected at all. I knew going into it that it was a horror book, but it was like a light horror book, and honestly, where I'm at right now, I feel like it's very light on the horror. It's not at all what I expected. It's not bad, but again, like I said earlier, coming of age stories are just hit or miss for me. Either I really connect to it or I don't. Right now I feel like it's a half and half. I would say it's fun and it's enjoyable. Like I said, it's a very quick read. I'm like speeding through it, but I don't have that feeling where I'm just like so obsessed with a book while I'm reading it that I don't want to put it down. Like, I'm not really getting that with this, so I don't know how I feel yet. But the plot is really simple. It's about this boy named Jake. He's 12 and he's pretty much like an outsider. He doesn't have a lot of friends, and his uncle kind of owns this occult shop, and he's very interested in like the occult and like ghost stories and, you know, urban legends and all that kind of stuff. And this new kid in town, his name is Billy. So Jake and Billy and the uncle, along with the uncle's friend, form this club called the Saturday Night Ghost Club, where they go to like these areas in town to like investigate like urban legends and ghost stories and stuff like that. I will say I picked this up for a book set in fall, and now where I'm at, it is fall, but it was a very small chunk of the book, and I feel like I am kind of cheating with this prompt because I did think that there was more to do with fall in this book. When I looked it up online, like I looked up books with a fall setting or books that take place in fall, this book actually pops up a lot. So I kind of just like was like, yep, it's gonna be part summer, part fall. And I didn't really know that the fall aspect was gonna be way more minuscule than everything else in this book. So I kind of feel like I'm cheating with this one. I feel like if I have time, I might try and pick up another book that is set in fall later, like after I've completed the rest of the prompts. I might try to come back to this one and see if I have time to like squeeze in another book, just because I feel like I'm not really I'm not really meeting the prompt. I feel like I'm kind of cheating. I feel like I was bamboozled though, and this book was recommended for books set in fall, so I feel like I was lied to. I guess it just depends on how much of it should be set in fall. I thought at least half of the book was going to be set in fall, so I guess that's my own fault for not really looking into it. So I'm going to try to come back to this prompt since I feel like this wasn't what I expected. But so far it's fine. It's a good read. I'd say it's like a 3.5 at this point. I do feel like I know where the book's going. I feel like I knew it fairly early on what was happening. I think I'm about to find out the major twist, if you want to call it like the big twist. Whatever it is, I'm about to find out, but I think I already knew it, so I'm unsure how I feel about this book. I think there are some like really good parts to it, but I'm just not like overall obsessed with it. So as of right now, it's looking like a 3.5, I feel like, but I'm gonna wait till I finish the last 20 pages and see how it ends, and then I'll, you know, see how I feel. But my goal today is to finish that book, start my next book, which is going to be Venco by Sherry D. Moline. I'm reading this for the 4th prompt, which is a cover with black or orange on it, so I picked this one. I believe this is like a witchy story, which I'm really excited for. The Instagram prompt is do an Instagram reel doing your reading routine, so I think I'm gonna try to do it. I don't do Instagram reels a lot, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to do it. Those are my goals for today: to finish the Saturday Night Ghost Club, start Venco, and try to do an Instagram reel for Instagram. We'll see how that goes, but I will update you when I finish the Saturday Night Ghost Club and I get somewhere into Venco. Hello friends, and happy day 5 of Summerween. I'm back with another check-in. So yesterday I only had about 20 pages of the Saturday Night Ghost Club, so I finished that up really quick, and I guess my final thoughts are I did enjoy the story. I felt like it was a cute coming-of-age story. It had a nice emotional aspect to it. I think my problem is I already knew where the ending was going fairly early on. I could kind of see it. And second, I just feel like this isn't very horror in my opinion. Like, to me it really lacks a lot of horror elements. So personally, to me, I wouldn't necessarily consider this a coming-of-age horror story. Yes, this is like a ghost club, but to me personally, there's not enough of those elements for me to consider this horror. I think I just had a different set of expectations when I went into this book, and it was a good read. Like, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I wasn't like super bored or super irritated by it, but I just think it's not what I wanted it to be, and it's not really what I expected it to be. So I'm probably going to give it 3.5. It wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. It was pretty fast paced, and you know, I did like the emotional aspect to it, but I said this earlier in the video, but coming of age stories are either hit or miss for me. I either really love them or I really don't like them. This one falls more in the middle. I think I just wanted it to be more of a horror story, so that was a little bit of a letdown. And then after finishing the Saturday Night Ghost Club, I went ahead and started Venco yesterday, and I'm going to be continuing reading this one today because I'm only a little over 50% of the way in. I think like 54% or something. I'm on chapter 21, page 223, so a little over halfway. So this is a witchy story. Our main character is Lucky St. James. She ends up finding this little souvenir spoon that has like a little engraving of a witch with the word Salem on the handle. And this kind of leads her to find this network of witches, and there's a lot of other stuff happening. She also lives with her grandmother. She takes care of her grandmother. Her grandmother is kind of, you know, she's aging. She's not having the best time with her memory, so Lucky takes care of her, but they are being forced to leave the building that they live in. They're being evicted. So kind of running into this network of witches is also kind of just like the perfect timing for Lucky. But there's a lot of other stuff going on that I can't get into because, you know, spoiler territory. This definitely feels more fantasy forward than I typically read. It's not awful. It's not like crazy bad. Like I'm not like upset by it. I knew it was going to be a little bit more fantasy because it deals with witches, but I feel like a lot of the witch books that I read deal a little bit more in like the horror realm, so it's kind of like a little bit like of a fantasy horror blend. This one feels just like straight up fantasy, which isn't the worst thing. I did want to try to read a little bit more fantasy, and I feel like this is a good start. It's not too overwhelming. There's not like a ton of world building. There's not like anything like crazy going on. It feels very simple, which is good for me, especially since I don't read a lot of fantasy, but I'm enjoying it. I like the plot. I like the characters. There's actually a character in here named Letty, and it freaks me out every time I read her name because all I can imagine is Letty, my dog, because they have the same name and it's spelled the exact same way, and it keeps freaking me out. And it's so hard because it kind of like takes me out of the story just like a little bit, which is so weird. I didn't think I was gonna have that problem because Letty's name is actually Scarlet. We just call her Letty for like her nickname, and I don't know, I just never call her Scarlet. So it's weird because I don't have that reaction with the name Scarlet. Like when I read it in books, it doesn't affect me as much, but I think because I call Letty, that's like her actual name to me, it's very different. So this book is very weird. It's a very weird situation. I don't know, it's strange. Probably also because I don't hear Letty as often. Like I don't hear that name come up a ton. I've seen it a couple times, but definitely not as much as like other names. So I think it's just like a little weird aspect that I'm like not struggling with, but it's just a little odd. There's also really good representation in this book. I'm actually really impressed. I'm really enjoying that, and I'm just enjoying the story. I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm excited to keep reading. It's been an easy read so far. I thought that because it was like a little bigger. It's not that big. It's like 380 some pages or something, so it's not like crazy long, but I was a little worried because it was a little bit more fantasy, so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with it. So far so good. I've been enjoying it. I'm liking it a lot, so I'm gonna keep reading this and hopefully finish it. It's been a fairly quick read, even though it feels a little bit longer or looks a little bit longer, but it's been a pretty good like quick read. So I'm gonna keep reading this, and then yeah, I'll let you know when I finish, and then we'll move on to the last prompt that I have to finish. I'm gonna try to sneak in another book, or maybe I can find a manga that takes place in fall or something like that, but or maybe a novella. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find something short. I want to try to find something else to fit that prompt better than Saturday Night Ghost Club, so we'll see what I can come up with in the meantime, but I will let you know when I finish this and when I'm moving on to the last prompt.
Text me with the code word.
What's the code word? Chris Keller? Code word.
Yes.
Chris Keller.
That's our new code word.
Code name. Chris Keller.
I don't know how to spell Chris Keller. I'll have to look it up. I have more after the code word.
What if I left all of this in and people were like, who is Chris Keller?
One Tree Hill, look it up.
What?
Look it up, you idiots. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you've already seen it, rewatch it.
If you've already seen it,
if you don't like it, you're wrong. Rewatch it. If you do like it, you can hang.
You can hang. Hello friends, I am back. I have finished Venco and I'm here to give you my final thoughts. I really enjoyed this. I'm not really surprised that I enjoyed it because it has a lot of things that I enjoy, especially like feminist, witchy kind of plots, and I feel like this fits the bill that I usually look for in a witchy book, so I feel like it's not that surprising that I enjoyed it. I also had a feeling I was going to enjoy it because I really enjoyed Empire of Wild from this author, and that book like really surprised me because I don't really like werewolf books. I don't really like Well, I said that I didn't like vampires or werewolves a long time ago, but by a long time ago I mean like 6 months ago. But I have changed my mind on that. I do really like vampire books, and the 2 werewolf books I've actually read recently, well, not that recently, but I really enjoyed. So I feel like it's not that surprising that I really enjoyed this because I like this author's writing. I said earlier that I really enjoyed the representation in this book. I really like the main character being Indigenous. I like that the author is Indigenous. I just feel like there's a lot of good things in this book. It's gonna have its audience. Not everyone's going to love it, especially because it is a more fantasy forward book, but it's not a super complex or complicated fantasy book in my opinion, and I know really nothing about fantasy at all. So coming from someone who doesn't read fantasy, who knows pretty much nothing about fantasy, the most I know is what I hear people talking about or what Justin tells me because he reads fantasy, but I don't know that much about fantasy. So if I can read this and enjoy it and I found it not to be, you know, too much, I feel like other people who like these sorts of topics and, you know, things in books but might not necessarily love fantasy might enjoy this one. So it's gonna depend on what you're looking for. I think that if you like these kinds of stories, you'll probably enjoy it, and I just had a really good time with it. I don't know what I want to give it. I feel like a 4.5, and I would only take like a half star off because, one, I kind of guessed the plot twist, not really early on, but it just like briefly flitted through my mind while I was reading, so I wasn't like disappointed by it, I guess, because I liked the direction the book went anyways, so I wasn't mad. It's just I don't love guessing things. That's usually my fault though, not the book's fault. Sometimes it's the book's fault. I didn't want to take too much off for that, but the other thing is there's a lot of like not clear communication in this book, and I feel like a lot of the situations that the characters encounter could have been handled better if the communication was better. I'm assuming that was just part of the plot because, you know, things happen when miscommunication happens. So it wasn't too bad, but miscommunication is definitely like kind of there. So if you really hate miscommunication, you'll probably get really frustrated really easily. I'm usually not the biggest fan of it, but mostly it's in like romance books that I hate the miscommunication trope. So in this, it didn't bother me too much, but it was there. So like the fact that I guessed a little bit of the plot twist and the miscommunication, it kind of just like brought it down from like a 5 to a 4.5. But I really enjoyed this book. I had a lot of fun with it. I love books like this. It makes me happy to be a reader. I love stories like this, and it makes me wish that I was gonna find a spoon with a little witch engraved in it and the word Salem, and I was gonna find out that I'm like this really powerful, cool, badass witch. I would love that to be my life, honestly. So books like this really make me wish I was a witch and I lived in Salem and I was just, you know, being a fun book reading witch. You know, that's what I wish. So that is it for Summerween Day 5. I am gonna go to bed here in a little bit, but I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to start reading anything here in the next few hours. I think I'm going to take a little break. We're watching One Tree Hill, but I will come back tomorrow and talk about what I'm reading for Summerween Day 6 and hopefully find something to fulfill the sudden fall prompt. I will come back tomorrow and let you know what the plans are for Day 6. Hello friends and happy Summerween Day 6. So I am on to the final prompt for the Summerween prompts, and that is read a manga graphic novel or novella. I said I was going to go with a manga, and I am going to read PTSD Radio Volume 3. I've already read Volumes 1 and 2, and I absolutely loved them, gave them 5 stars. I think this is like such a creepy, eerie manga. I love the artwork. I'll try to show some clips of the artwork in the vlog when I'm reading because I just love the artwork so much. So this is what I'm going to read today. It's a little thick, but it won't take me that long to read because it's a manga. So that is the first thing that I'm going to try and get read today. The second thing is, like I said, I was trying to come back to a book set in fall. So I think I found something that'll work. I found Sheets by Brenna Thumler. This is a graphic novel, and I kind of flipped through it. It looks like it's set in fall. This is the very beginning, and there's leaves on the ground, and the leaves look like reddish orange. So I'm gonna assume that this is the fall time. Oh wait! If you flip the page, there's a banner at, I'm assuming this is school, there's a banner at the school that says Happy Halloween. So, you know what? I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count this as a set in fall. So this is what I have planned for day 6. I don't know if I'm gonna read anything after this because tomorrow is Thursday and it's day 7, and I'm gonna try to edit this vlog tomorrow. So I think these will be my last reads of the readathon. I think this will be it. I will have hit all the prompts, so I'll feel pretty good about it if I end there. If I decide to read anything else, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll probably just end the vlog. So these are my final reads, I think, for the readathon. So I'm going to read these today, and then I will update you and see if I'm gonna read anything else. So I'll let you know when I see you in the next clip. Hello friends, and welcome to day 7 of Summerween. So this is the last day of the readathon, and I'm actually going to be editing this vlog today because I want to get the video up as soon as possible for you all. So I'm actually not going to be reading today. I finished up my last few reads last night, so I'm going to update you on what I read, how I felt about them, that kind of thing, and then yeah, I guess that's it. So for the read a manga graphic novel or novella, I chose PTSD Radio Volume 3, and I absolutely love this series. I think it's amazing. I am so in love with the artwork. I will say this feels like the weakest volume as of right now, and I didn't dislike this volume, it's just that the stories didn't feel as punchy as the previous 2 volumes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. They felt a little bit more incoherent, but just like not as structured. And not that this series has a lot of structure to it in the beginning, but these just felt a lot less in line with what I had been reading from the previous 2 volumes. So it wasn't like a bad thing, it's just something I noticed. I do rate manga overall, like as a series and not individually, so the series is still getting a 5-star from me, so this volume is gonna get a 5-star from me, but I do feel like it is the weakest. I will say there were like stories in here that were from the mangaka's like own personal like experiences, so they were supposed to be true, which I thought was really fun, and I liked that addition because I like true stories. I like when authors incorporate their own experiences into stories, so I liked hearing his, you know, first-hand experience with things that he went through. I thought that was really interesting. There was one story in here that surprised me. It was a little bit more like sweet and cute, which I felt like was a little bizarre, but I liked it. It wasn't bad. It just kind of felt a little bit different than every other story we've been getting in this series, but I did like it. So overall, I love the art of this series, and I do really enjoy reading every volume, so this will be getting a 5-star for me because the series is a 5-star. And then because I felt like I didn't fulfill the read a book set in fall prompt as well as I wanted to, I picked up Sheets by Brenna Thumler. This is a graphic novel. It's really cute. The art is super beautiful. I showed you in like some B-roll, but it's really pretty art. It's really colorful and just like really eye-catching, and I actually really liked this a lot. It's about this 13-year-old girl who helps run this laundromat that her family owns, and then it's about this 11-year-old ghost, and basically they end up, you know, meeting and some things happen. It's really cute. I really enjoyed this. It's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit sad, a little bit emotional. I really enjoyed it. It's very cute. It reminded me of the Sad Ghost Club in that it was like cute and sweet and like uplifting and like happy and stuff like that. I really liked it a lot, and I will be checking out the other graphic novels in this like series. I believe there's a second one and a third one coming out later this year, I think in September, so I do want to check those out because I really enjoyed this. I'll probably give it like a 4.5, maybe. I might bump it up to 5. I don't really know, but I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the art a lot. The art was absolutely beautiful in my opinion. And then just for fun, I ended up reading Blood on the Tracks Volume 13 by Shuzo Oshimi. This is like one of my all-time favorite manga series, and I just have been putting this volume off because we have a time jump in this one, and I was very nervous to start it. I just didn't know what to expect. I was really nervous. This series is like super emotional and just like really depressing and dark and messed up in so many ways, and this volume was just really sad. Like, the story just got really sad really fast. I mean, the whole thing is just sad, but I feel like the later volumes into now, it's just like really sad for me. So this one was just kind of depressing, but the ending left me on a cliffhanger, and I actually think that it's gonna be a good cliffhanger. I think this is like a bright spot. I feel like something good's gonna happen now. I feel like I really want this to end on a happy note, and I know that sounds crazy, but this series is just so sad that I need some sort of like good conclusion to this series, and I'm hoping that that's where we're headed now. Like we're gonna get somewhere good. I don't know, but I'm very hopeful. I'm hoping. The ending really left me feeling like maybe my dreams will come true, but the 14th volume is coming out in August, I believe. So I'm all caught up now, and I'm happy that I got to read this. I got to squeeze it in because I absolutely love this series, and reading a volume is just a bright spot in my day, so I'm just happy that I got to read this one. And that is it. That's my Summerween. That is what I got accomplished. I read 4 books right here. I would say the standout overall, like my favorite of the whole week, was probably Whalefall. I still think it's the standout, but I also really enjoyed Venco, and I think that is definitely a new favorite. I really enjoyed it. And then I read 3 manga / graphic novels, and of course I loved these so much, so I'm just so excited to have read so many good things this week. I feel like I accomplished a lot. I feel like I got a lot of good stuff read. I feel like I found a new favorite. Hello, Whalefall and Venco were just like so good, and I just had a lot of fun reading them. But Summerween was just a blast. I'm so glad I participated. This was my 2nd time, and I loved this round even more than last time because I think I only read 3 books last year, I think. I don't really remember. I feel like I only read 3, and I just used like books to check off multiple prompts, but this time I tried to like use a different book per each prompt, and I feel like I just read a lot, and I feel like I had a good reading week and it was a lot of fun. So thank you to Gabby and Olivia for hosting Summerween once again. It was just a blast and I had so much fun. Let me know what you read, what your favorite read was of Summerween. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. That way I know you enjoy watching me participate in readathons and vlog my experience. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I also have a Patreon. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, and manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!